As I've already testified, I read the witnesses, the transcripts of all of the witnesses and the like. I relied on testimony from Ambassador Sondland and testimony from Mr. Morrison, testimony from Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, testimony for Ambassador Taylor. I relied on the fact that when, I think it was Ambassador Taylor, but I may be getting which one of these people wrong, sent the cable that said, you know, it's crazy to hold this up based on domestic political concern. No one wrote back and said, that's not why we're doing it. I relied on what Mr. Mulvaney said in his press conference. So there were, you know, there's a lot to suggest here that this is about political benefit. And if I don't know if I can talk about another piece of Ambassador Sondland's testimony now, or I should wait. Tell me.
Please talk about it.
So I want to just point to what I consider to be the most striking example of this, and the most, you know, I spent all of Thanksgiving vacation sitting there reading these transcripts. I didn't, you know, I ate like a turkey that came to us in the mail that was already cooked because I was spending my time doing this. And the most chilling line for me of the entire process was the following. Ambassador Sondland said he had to announce the investigations. He's talking about President Zelensky. He had to announce the investigations. He didn't actually have to do them, as I understood it. And then he said, I never heard, Mr. Goldman, anyone say that the investigations had to start or had to be completed. The only thing I heard from Mr. Giuliani or otherwise was they had to be announced in some form. And what I took that to mean was this was not about whether Vice President Biden actually committed corruption or not. This was about injuring somebody who the president thinks of as a particularly hard opponent.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.